And you are now behind enemy lines, baby. How you doing out there? More on number 2 and more on number 1 here with you this week. What's up, Ross? What's going on, man?
By the way, did we ever figure out who was actually officially more on number 1 out of this group?
You know what? We alternate it all the time. This week, I'll be more on number 2 if that's what you want, or...
No, I've always preferred to be number 2, actually, in every organization I've ever been in. So that would
you
work.
are the shit, so...
I never really thought to ask you that, though.
Yeah, well, okay, so fine. So tonight I will be more on number 1 as I guide you through this wonderful show this week. Be sure, guys, as you're coming into the chat to hang out with us, smash that thumbs up button, like the show, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, because we're going to be going on a wild ride through this whole Epstein file nonsense. You know, what was that? Was the movie Forget Paris, I think, with Billy Crystal, with the old man in the car going, "You asked for it, you got it." Well, all of you asked for it, and now everyone is reaping the whirlwind. We're going to go through the buffoons, the winners, the losers, and our thoughts on all of this. Ross, one of the funny things about this is we know some people mentioned in these files.
Yeah, so that means that we should be hung, apparently.
Apparently. Well, let me say this. Neither you or I appear in the Epstein file. I did search before the show. So we are free. We are clear. It's all good. But we do have secondhand connections to certain people who were in it. And it wasn't because they were associated with Epstein. It's because they were mentioned in emails or invites or, you know, different advertising for different campaigns because they wanted this guy's money and things like that. So, yeah. How about that? Nobody really thought about all the collateral damage that would come out of this.
So there's less than 6 degrees of separation between Gene Berardelli and Jeffrey Epstein. Is that what you're telling me, Gene?
There's also less than 6 degrees of separation between you and Jeffrey Epstein. So, in for a penny, in for a pound. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, I knew I should have hitched my wagon to your store.
I'm telling you, I'm nothing but trouble. Rick Robinson's lurking in the chat with us tonight. Say hi to your grandbaby for us. And enjoy the night, even though you can't be with us, loser. But whatever. It's all good. So, winners, losers, buffoons. That's sort of the categories I have right now. Because a lot of people out there thought, once again, in this 10-year decade of Trump, this secular thing that we have going on, that a smoking gun would emerge, and this time we got him. Turns out, not so much.
Yeah, and I mean, before we even get there, Gene, I'm curious as to where are the Democrats? I know they're going to fit into one of your categories there, but I thought this was like the most important thing ever. So why aren't we talking about that anymore? It's not like they're saying, we're not going to fund DHS unless DOJ complies and, gets all the rest of the Epstein files out immediately, right? They're not saying that. So I guess it wasn't the most important thing going on?
Well, it wasn't the most important thing going on in 2020. It wasn't the most important thing going on in 2021, 2022, 23, 24. It started getting a little important towards the end of 24. And then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose in 2025. I wonder why. Might have something to do with politics. But I'm not going to put Democrats collectively in any box, because we're not into collectivism. That's not our deal. What we're into is calling individuals out for being buffoons, and that's what we're going to do here on the channel tonight. I guess the first one we can call out is, I should say, as my phone almost fell off my desk because things are buzzing right now, Bill and Hillary Clinton. Let's talk about them for a second. Because Bill Clinton, he's in the Epstein files, so much so that he's been subpoenaed by James Comer, as you see on the screen there, on House Oversight. The Clintons were fighting that subpoena in the most hypocritical manner possible, but it turns out they've agreed to now testify in a videotaped deposition. Let's get the news from ABC News. Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will sit for depositions later this month in the House Oversight Committee's inquiry into late schmexual offender Jeffrey Epstein, according to House Committee Chair James Comer. Hillary Clinton is scheduled to testify February 26th. Bill Clinton on February 27th. The Clintons completely caved and will appear for transcribed film depositions this month. We look forward to questioning the Clintons as part of our investigation into the horrific crimes of Epstein and Maxwell to deliver transparency and accountability for the American people and for survivors, said Comer. Is that what this is really about? Transparency for survivors and accountability for the American people?
No, obviously not. And I have a lot to say about all of that. My question is, so he was referred to the DOJ for contempt of Congress. Where do we stand with that? Let's start there. All right.
Well, he's no longer in contempt of Congress because he's agreed to honor the subpoena and to come in and testify.
Yeah, but he did that the first time he didn't show up too. So, like, that's it. He was in contempt. You don't just get to, what if he does it again? He's just going to keep agreeing and not showing? I mean, our side went to jail, Gene. They went and got Peter Navarro, Roger Stone. Like, they got all these guys and handcuffed them on TV. Like, I want to see the same thing.
Yes,
I
the
love
same thing.
Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, but how many chances do these guys get?
Well, this is Comer, right? This is House Oversight. House Oversight would say, we will cut you a deal. We won't go after you for contempt if you show up to testify. Now, if Clinton doesn't honor that deal, then he's screwed. She's screwed if either of them don't honor the deal they made.
But they've done this already, is my point. Hillary claimed she was sick when she was supposed to come the first time. Then the second time, they just didn't show up, and they sent a letter saying that this was a witch hunt. And now this is attempt number 3, right? Comer said he was going to refer them to the DOJ for contempt of Congress, and that's what should have happened. It should still happen.
I guess Comer's working on a 3 strikes you're out policy, but that's also about optics. He wants to show that he's being fair.
Well, put him in the loser category right off the bat.
All right, he's a loser, but what about the Clintons? Let's talk about them for a second. It was already out there that Bill was supposedly connected with Epstein, allegedly connected. I'm being very careful with my words, as you can tell, and that'll be a running theme tonight. But photos have come out. The painting that Epstein had of Bill has been widely documented, of him in the infamous blue dress. Is this going to harm the Clinton brand among Democrats, or will this strengthen the Clinton brand among Democrats?
Nothing is going to hurt the Clinton brand with this story. Let me just say this for a second. I'm going to piss everyone off, and I might even piss you off with this.
Do I need to get the rant button out here?
No, I mean, I'm going to definitely need it later in the show, but I'm going to say something that's very controversial. Bill Clinton may actually be a victim in all of this. And let me explain. If Bill Clinton was screwing around with underage girls, then he is a criminal and he should be locked up, right? I've seen no proof of any of this so far. None. Nothing that is beyond a reasonable doubt in the millions of documents that have been released and are floating around on the internet. So if he was instead fucking around with paid prostitutes and cheating on his wife and then possibly being blackmailed, he is the victim. Gene, you're a lawyer. The person being blackmailed in a scenario like that is actually a victim. I am no fan of Bill Clinton. He's a scumbag. He's a horrible person, right? But the conspiracy theorists, especially on our own side, are fucking crazy, right? They got it in their head that there was some, underage girl, human trafficking, kidnapping, dungeons. I've seen no proof of this. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. But what I'm saying is I've seen no proof of this, right? So at the end of the day, is it going to hurt Bill Clinton? No, I don't think it is, right? Because at the end of the day, are you surprised that Bill Clinton might have been cheating on his wife? I mean, I thought we've already established this back in the 90s that this happened.
Yeah. Oh, no, we certainly have. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I can't blame the guy in a lot of ways. I mean, look who he's married to, right? So, okay, right? So he did that. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein's another dirtbag. Got it. Okay, but where is the proof of all of these wild accusations that we've had over the last few years now? Where?
Absolutely. And a lot of I know that you're blaming Republicans for a lot of that, but I'm blaming Democrats for perpetuating that as well. They're the ones doing it on X, on the airwaves, from the podium. Many different Democrats, they love to infer, especially when it comes to Donald Trump, that things have happened. Let's give you an example of a form of this protected speech through the speech and debate clause that Democrats exploit in Congress. This is Congressman Jim McGovern talking about what connections he sees between Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and this child ring, let's call it. I'm going to let him talk here, and we'll go from there.
Administration is collapsing under the weight of their ever-expanding ties to a global child rape ring. And rather than do the right thing, Republicans are trying to change the subject.
Now, if that statement was made anywhere but from the House of Congress, that's actionable speech. That is defamation, probably per se, because it's done with reckless disregard for the truth. But because he's a ranking member of committee on the record in Congress, pal, he gets to say stuff like the administration has a connection to a child schmexual ring, which is completely unheard of, as you were saying earlier.
Yep, and you, as usual, are being nice, Gene, and you're towing the party line, and it's Democrats. Republicans are worse, Gene. Right?
I'm not saying Democrats. I'm saying this Democrat. I'm not saying the Democrat.
Yeah, well, the Republican Party is to blame for this whole thing, starting with Thomas Massey. Right? He's a moron. But the vote was, what was it, 420 something to 1, 426 to 1, I think, in the House of Representatives to release the Epstein files in full. Okay, so that means every Republican except Clay Higgins voted to do this. We don't do this in America. We don't release investigatory files in America, right? Those are unsubstantiated. They're not in court proven, so you just have people's names randomly in there, like the people you mentioned at the beginning of the show that we happen to know, right? Their name is going to be associated now with this file when they were never charged in a court of law. There's no evidence. There's not even probable cause to do anything further with these files, right? People thought Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were out of their minds when they said this, that they looked at this stuff and it's pretty much it. And Donald Trump called it a hoax. And it turns out that they were right. And I want to say one more thing here, Gene, and this is going to piss people off too. I know we have a bunch of clips and stuff, but this has to get out there early on. Absolutely. Just to set the stage. By blacking out or redacting the names of the quote unquote victims or survivors, right? That to me is a travesty of justice, okay? Because like I said earlier, if you have people's names in these files that did not do anything wrong or were never charged, right? Never, but their names are in there. But you're redacting the names of paid prostitutes for the most part, right? I have yet to see a victim come out and say, I was raped, I was held against my will. I still have yet to see any of these people. Do they exist? Possibly. But one of the Epstein files said that George Bush participated in ritualistic sacrifice and then raped a guy. Okay, that's ridiculous. And the cop said in his notes that this guy's insane, has a history of a mental illness, blah, blah, but that's in there, right? And then the guy who reported it, his name is redacted or left out, but George Bush is in there, right? This is insanity. This is not America. This is a terrible precedent.
Yeah, and this is the problem with a blunderbuss disclosure of documents, and that you said are unproven allegations, things that were investigated, found to be unsubstantiated, and morons online are running with it. Morons that are partisan and only care about winning in a political debate. They're the ones running to unsubstantiated allegations about child abuse alleged against Donald Trump that was found to be unsubstantiated because there was a sworn out statement that was later recanted very publicly back 10 years ago. But we're going to drag all that up again. And I know I'm using an example against Trump, but it could have been anybody. And it would have been, if it would have been unsubstantiated, it's wrong to be out.
And Gene, before you go on, that's my point, right? Going forward, and you love to use the word precedent, and I hate precedent, right? But they set one, right? So now in the next presidential election, whoever the Democrat is, if we control Congress and we could find some criminal investigation that happened in the past that may or may not have mentioned this candidate's name as an ancillary person that was never charged or never even suspected of a crime, now we have like set the precedent where Congress can order the DOJ to release these files, redact the names of some people, don't redact the names of others, and now we can just bloody people up politically going forward. That's what we just did, and it makes no sense.
And one of those people being bloody politically is a member of Trump's cabinet, Howard Lutnick. He's mentioned in the files, and he went on to New York Post's podcast called Pod Force One to discuss his experience with Epstein. And once you hear this, you'll forget it because you'll just remember his names are in the files, and that's a shame because when you listen to this, you'll understand that Howard Lutnick wants nothing to do with this dead cretin.
And there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he like gets like weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
And I guess that's enough of that. Go ahead and say what you said in the chat just now, pal. There are reasons to not like Lutnick, right? But this is not one of them.
Lutnick is a shady character all around. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether to believe what he's saying there or not, right? And that's the whole point of why you don't release these types of files. And for those of you guys who are like actually looking at the files, quote unquote, a lot of these are just emails from Jeffrey Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein, a lot of them, where he's like recapping conversations and, you know, sending them to himself. And then others are just emails that are, you catch like a snippet of it. You're not real sure what they're talking about. Does it sound crazy? Yeah. I mean, you can read into a lot of these things. And they sound stupid. Spoiler alert. If you read my Signal chat or my emails, I would look like a real piece of shit too. Right. I'm not saying, you know, sexual things towards children in them, but I have lots of racist off-colored jokes in my chats and in my groups. And if you're on Freedom Chat, I drop some inappropriate shit in there once in a while too. Right. So yeah, looking at this stuff in a vacuum is probably not the best thing for our country right now. And Republicans did it, Gene, not the Democrats.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is also the society that we've created, especially online. No one looks deeply into anything. It's all millions of miles wide, but about an inch deep is what everybody's attention span is nowadays. So when you say so-and-so is mentioned in the Epstein files, nobody asks, well, what does that mean? No one inquires any further. You just snap on and say, oh, that's a bad person. How dare he associate with that person? And meanwhile, it could be something as innocuous as someone sent Epstein a forward of an email that had your name in it, for example. And I mentioned this example because we know someone that this has happened to. And we're not going to mention who they are. I was going on before about what statements were, how people are couching their statements on this whole Epstein document release thing. And while McGovern was kind of shielded by speech and debate in the House of Representatives, this statement from the podium from Ted Lieu from California, this freaking dentana, this gets very, very close to the line of, in my opinion, defamation.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times.
And the reason why he's in there thousands and thousands of times, a good majority of it is Epstein, this odious, disgusting, irredeemable person, bad-mouthing Trump, saying how bad he thinks Trump is. Russ, if your enemy happened to be a PDF file and he was bad-mouthing you, wouldn't you take that as a badge of honor that someone this low and disgusting and irredeemable hates you?
Yes, of course. And there's actual statements from Jeffrey Epstein where he basically clears Trump himself of doing any wrongdoing, right? Like, where is the evidence? Our society has become, and our side specifically has become so corrupted that they are willing to throw people into the fire with zero actionable evidence, right? Where is the evidence against Donald Trump? Do you really think that if Donald Trump was a pedophile, that we would not turn our back on him? Of course we would, right? But where is the evidence? I'm not going to take Lou's opinion here, backed up by nothing. They did this with the Russiagate hoax, the Ukraine phone call hoax. The list goes on and on, right? So, no, we don't believe you. Show me the money. We've released millions of files. And to think of this, Gene, how many FBI agents and bosses at the FBI and attorneys at the DOJ would have to be in on an Epstein cover-up, including now Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, right? Like, does any of this make any sense that they would not prosecute anyone having to do with, by the way, they did prosecute people in the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, right? The two that actually conspired and did the obviously illegal things with evidence to back it up, okay? Trafficking people for prostitution across state lines, that is a crime, right? And that was Jeffrey Epstein. But if you flew to his island and they were there already, you engaged with a prostitute possibly, and you can consider that dirtbaggish activity, but it's not child sex trafficking, right? It's not keeping people locked up in dungeons or whatever the hell the conspiracy theorists think was going on there. Like, I just don't get it. There's no evidence of it.
Right, absolutely. There's no evidence of it, yet it doesn't stop buffoons from going on television and saying things like that. Like this young wannabe political consultant, I think might be related to someone famous. I don't know. I'm going to look it up in a second. Named Cameron Koski, who a couple of weeks ago was on CNN and said this, which clearly is over the line and exposes him to civil liability, in my opinion.
About this, I would love it if he was more transparent about the human sex trafficking network that he was a part of, but you can't win them all.
Cameron's grateful that the president is being transparent about the Nobel Peace Prize and his desires for Greenland. Scott, what do you think about that?
You going to let that sit? Are we going to claim here on CNN that the president is part of a global sex trafficking ring, or?
Well,
I mean,
we're going to talk about the Epstein files. Scott, I will do the fact checking as we go along here.
Yeah, don't tell me how to do my job and let a statement like that sit out there. To me, that puts CNN in the jackpot as well, but they redeemed themselves later on.
Repeat what you said about the global sex trafficking ring.
Excuse me. That thing that you said about the global sex trafficking. What did you mean by that? He had to be prompted to do this? Come on.
Donald Trump was provably very involved with it.
Okay, we'll get to that later. I mean, Donald Trump has never been charged with any crimes in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. But
let's be adults here.
We'll talk about Epstein
let's
files
be serious.
Later. Satisfied?
Yeah, you satisfied? Are you freaking kidding me here? You satisfied by that? That I pushed back on it after you told me to, but I was really going to let it sit out there? Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, he should sue. Ryan Gudersky, our friend, or a former acquaintance of ours, he got fired for much less from CNN. This kid should have been canned to protect CNN from lawsuits, really. And speaking of lawsuits, I know I keep going back to this, but I want to just expand on it a little bit more. The reason why you don't release these types of files, right? Because it contains hearsay, right? And Gene, correct me if I'm wrong, but from my pre-law 101 classes 25 years ago, I remember hearsay being an out-of-court statement being used to prove a fact, right? or something along those lines.
Right. So the definition is an out-of-court statement offered for the truth of the matter discussed therein. So yes.
There you go. So you get like an anonymous tip, or someone said that they heard something from another person, or you read an email from some person, right? And now it's being offered to the public, and we're supposed to just believe it at face value. The reason why courts don't allow hearsay in a courtroom is because in this country, you have the right to confront your accuser, right? If someone makes a claim against you, you have the right as a defendant to cross-examine that person. When you release a bunch of files and emails and pictures that have no context, right? These people that you think are the Epstein client list, the Bill Clintons of the world, and a bunch of other people who, again, probably are dirtbags, they are victims in this case, right? They are being tainted with something they can't defend themselves against. Their very accusers' names are being blacked out and redacted. This is insanity.
And that's exactly why we said that there was a hesitancy from disclosing all these files before Congress made their resolution and voted on it. We were saying that this could expose the federal government to civil liability from people who would be accused and not have anything come out of it. This was a concern we had. Could Bill Clinton, could Bill Gates have any sort of redress against the government for consciously putting this out there? Hey, speaking of Bill Gates, let's talk about him for a second, because if anyone has a possible action here, it might be him. And I don't like the guy. I'm not saying that because I think he's cool or anything like that. And I'm not cool with him, but let's get into this and let's talk about it in the further context here. This is from The Hill. Nancy Mace is seeking a subpoena of Bill Gates over the Epstein files. That's your girl, right? Right, Galloway? Jesus. So earlier today, as we're taping this on Wednesday, Nancy Mace asked the House Oversight Committee to subpoena Bill Gates over ties with Jeff Epstein. Last night, quote, this is a quote from Mace, I watched Melinda Gates' interview. I immediately asked the chairman of Oversight to subpoena Bill Gates. I have questions for Bill Gates about Epstein. She was referring to an interview where his ex-wife, Bill Gates' ex-wife, urged her ex-husband to answer questions over allegations made against him in the new batch of Epstein files that came out. In a Wednesday interview, Bill Gates apologized for spending time with Epstein and said he had several dinners with the disgraced financier in hopes of building a network of investors for global health initiatives. He said, I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of the many people who regret ever knowing him. The more that comes out, the more clear it will be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with any kind of behavior. In the latest batch of material released recently, Bill Gates is mentioned in an email Epstein sent to himself, which is one of those you were talking about, Galloway, where he claimed Gates requested he delete emails about an STD and request for antibiotics so he could surreptitiously give them to his then wife. That came out in the Epstein files. If that turns out to be not true, does he have an action against the federal government? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if Congress didn't pass a law mandating that stuff be released, he would definitely have a lawsuit, in my opinion, right? Because this is definitely not right what has happened. Again, Bill Gates, not a fan, and I hope nothing but bad things happens to the guy. But at the end of the day, a couple of things of the Bill Gates one, right? That one I found very interesting since I hate him so much, so I wanted to look into it a little deeper. If you look at the email where that statement was made, that was one of the emails I mentioned earlier, where it was a Jeffrey Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein email, just recapping a conversation that he may or may not have actually had with Bill Gates, right? I would lean towards believing it, but that would not be enough, right? You can't write yourself an email and claim to have had a conversation with someone else and that be the gold standard to be proof, right? The other thing I wanted to say was, in this case, like I keep mentioning the victims or supposed victims, the closest thing to a victim in that scenario, right? Assuming Bill Gates wasn't having sex with underage girls. We'll have to add that caveat to every time we say this. assuming he was just there banging Russian girls or Russian prostitutes that were of age, the only real victims in this thing possibly is Bill Gates' wife, if any of that is true, right? I don't see the girls that probably were being paid to do whatever they did with Bill Gates as victims. They're certainly not survivors. And then you could take a stretch and say Bill Gates might be a victim if this is not 100% true, or even if it is true, right, to release this type of stuff.
And what's the redress from all that? Because these are all allegations, innuendos, rumors, references, but they could be damaging to someone's reputation. Where is your redress if this is an act of Congress? Do you go back to the federal government and say that the federal government defamed me by publishing this salacious material? Or, again, I haven't done the research into this. What protections would what protection would the federal government have against this if this was released for the public good, or whatever they would claim it would be? It's a whole can of worms now that has to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, and you see this with, charging documents all the time, especially with the federal government, when they go after someone for a conspiracy, and they'll name the defendant, and then they'll name the other guy unindicted co-conspirator number one, right? Because they didn't bring charges against the other one, so they're not going to put his name out there. In this case, all of them are potentially unindicted co-conspirators, and their names were all released with a bunch of hearsay evidence, right? Some of it manufactured by Jeffrey Epstein himself. You can't tell me that Jeffrey Epstein was the biggest dirtbag ever, right? Ever. He's the devil. But emails that he wrote to himself, recapping conversations that he supposedly have, are 100% true. Right? You can't have it both ways with that stuff. They may very well be true. I don't know. But the point is, it's not enough to rise to a charge in a court of law, right? So why are we releasing this stuff?
Yeah, and well, it's fun to talk about on shows like this. It's fun to address,
You know what else is fun? I said this to a few of my friends that they like to favor themselves conspiracy theorists, and they've been right 100% of the time. And I'm a conspiracy theorist myself, don't get me wrong, right? But this one's just a little too far for me. Have you ever had like an unhinged ex-girlfriend that after you broke up totally went batshit crazy and started making unsubstantiated allegations about you to all your friends and family, right? If you haven't had one of those, then you might not know what we're talking about here. Get out more, meet more people. People are fucking crazy and vindictive. Right? A lot of those anonymous tips that are in the Epstein files came from a call line that was set up. And these people went fucking nuts saying crazy stuff that couldn't have been true. One of them said that Melania Trump was with Donald Trump in a year that was well before Donald Trump ever met Melania Trump. Right? So it's clearly fake, but now Donald Trump's name is in there, and so is Melania Trump's. It's insane.
Yeah. I want to put this comment up here because this is a little bit that whataboutism that's out there. How do people still support a 34-count felon and a sexual abuser? I have no idea how Americans decided a criminal is fit for office. Well, if you start off with the premise that everyone in politics is pretty much a criminal in one way or another, you're kind of able to swallow that, first and foremost. Secondly, this 34-count indictment thing, I hate hearing about this nonsense over and over again. If you're a lawyer, you realize how much bullshit it is and how it should be overturned. And this whole sexual abuser thing in a civil matter where evidence, again, was very slight, I think reasonable people can acknowledge the finding, but also see through the finding. And when the alternative was a woman who was incoherent when sober, you kind of figure what the outcome is going to be. Hope that answers your question, as bad faith as it was. But let's talk about Donald Trump.
No, wait. And Isaac, I absolutely still support him, and I support him in 2028 too. Fuck you. Next topic. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to go back to Cameron Koski for a second, and then we'll talk about Trump a little more. I promise. Isaac, we'll get to more Trump stuff for you because, you want to talk about it. But that clip with that kid on CNN that was totally beyond the pale and had to have Scott Jennings force a retraction out of the host. He then went on Piers Morgan, and listen to the difference here. This kid's singing a whole different tune.
My question was that you lied. You just perpetrated a willful lie to denigrate Trump and accuse him of being probably the most heinous allegation you can make about any man is he was part of a global human trafficking operation. You said twice.
I know, and it's one thing to tell a lie once, but to make that mistake, to say something so horrible as a mistake like that twice is just so unacceptable. And if the president wants to, I mean, there's
so
a
why
lot
did
of
you
people
do
who
it?
make these claims. Well, you know,
why did you do it?
We all make accidents. And Donald Trump, I mistook his deep involvement with Jeffrey Epstein over the years with an involvement with Jeffrey Epstein's human sex trafficking ring.
We all make mistakes. We all go on national cable television prime time. We all don't fact check. And we all make mistakes. It was a whoopsie on my part.
Bro, this is the kind of people that CNN has on to like represent the left. First of all, when the kid goes through puberty, maybe he'll smart up a little bit. But this is the brain trust that they have to defend their side. These are the people that Isaac looks up to, right? This is who they get their information from. Good luck, man.
Yeah, he's 25 years old, by the way, Cameron Koski here. This isn't someone that just fell off the apple cart, as they say, or he's been out of school quite a bit here. He's going on national TV. CNN is investing in his credibility, but whoopsie, what are you going to do, right? It goes on more here.
When it's very clear the president was not involved with any criminal activity. He was just extremely close with Jeffrey Epstein, who had been doing this for a very, very long time. And I think that the president has every right to prove to everybody that he is completely innocent. And
that's not how this works.
Prove your innocence.
How any of this works. You don't prove innocence, you fucking moron.
He has every right to prove his innocence.
Every right to prove his innocence. But this is the mentality of, I don't want to say just the left on the internet, but internet political observers. These fucking morons will hear a statement like that. It's like, yes, he does. Yes, he does. And they'll nod along with it. These freaking morons here. Oh, Isaac's back. And Isaac is saying something different to you, Ross. Nope, I do my own research by looking at government websites. Mistake number one. Yes. And court cases. That's not so bad. Not media bias propaganda that is on both sides. You're half right. You're half right, Isaac. And listen, you're on a show, by the way, that has no Democrat on this show. We're not fair and balanced. We have a certain perspective. I will tell you, take government websites with a grain of salt because they're only as good as the administration that is putting the information up. And there's going to be partisan information there left and right. Court cases are good, but again, judges do have political points of view as well. You have to weigh it all and judge it on your own. And I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm trying to assist you at least in telling you how I think. Consume everything, trust nothing, verify it with as close to primary sources as you can. That's what I'll say to that.
I mean, that's good advice there, Gene. I say, fuck that. Always default position. Don't trust the government, and damn sure don't trust Democrats or anyone on the left ever. Right? The Republicans suck too. Those are the ones I really have to fact check. If a Democrat says something, don't have to fact check it. It's wrong. It's idiotic. It's stupid. And anything on CNN, MSNBC, like those are obviously pointless. Fox, half right, and you have to confirm what they say. Right? That's.
And by the way, one last piece of advice. We'll get back to the clip. For those of you who use fact-checking websites like Snopes and things like that, keep in mind that I was once used as a source in a Snopes fact check. Just keep that in mind, okay? Those are the people they are relying on to fact check. Let's get back to some more of the humiliation of Cameron Koski here.
There's a lot of evidence that will show that he's innocent, which I maintain that he is.
Actually, he doesn't have to do anything. It's down to people like you who are on the airwaves talking about this to stick to facts. And I put it to you that your hatred of Trump is so demented that you just didn't think it mattered. You had convinced yourself he was right up there with Epstein in running a global trafficking ring. So I give you an opportunity now, because Donald Trump watches Uncensored every now and again. Would you like to apologize to him for the hoax that you perpetrated?
Mr. President, I apologize for accidentally perpetrating something that is clearly a hoax. And honestly, once more and more of these Epstein files get released, I look forward to you being completely vindicated, because clearly you couldn't stand this Epstein guy and he couldn't stand you either.
I mean, as apologies go, it wasn't so bad.
Well, I mean, I like where he's going, Gene, because as I've said many times, to be forgiven, all Democrats must repent. And he is on the road to recovery there. But he's got a long way to go. But he's starting.
Well, it's
The
not
whole
good
guys
enough.
on the left must repent to be forgiven.
It's not good enough for Piers Morgan, though.
Okay, so you admit it wasn't an accident, was it? You said it deliberately. That's not an accident.
I mistook Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump's involvement with one another, with Donald Trump being involved with parts of Jeffrey Epstein's business that there is no evidence he has been involved with. And fortunately, Donald Trump has a huge opportunity to set the record straight by ending this Epstein cover-up.
Actually, you know what? Right now, Cameron, it's you that has that opportunity, and people will judge your wheelie-mouthed apology in the way they want to judge it. You should just admit you just got it completely wrong. It's just an easy way to do it.
Unfortunately,
In
there's
fact,
a lot of evidence.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of evidence. Of what? Of what? What is there evidence of here that he's...
The evidence is that he is out there apologizing. He's on an apology tour because he's afraid of getting fired and or sued by Donald Trump. That's what the apology is all about, right? That's what the evidence shows.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Donald Trump for a second, because there are people out there who are... Okay, wait, we got a question from one of the chatters here. Who's the stooge? I mean, take your pick.
No, who was that kid? What was that kid's name?
His name is Cameron Kasky. That's what Kasky with a K.
I'm assuming that's the stooge he's referring to and not yours truly.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about us, our names are on the screen and you can see them rather clearly. And there you go.
Unless he's hitting the bong, the long bong.
There you go. And we don't know if you are or not. And if you are, I hope you're having a good night. Make sure you subscribe, by the way. Mike Johnson hit the weekend talk show hosts and was asked about Trump's associations with Epstein in these released files and whether or not Republicans are shaken in their confidence with regards to Donald Trump.
Trump's name appears throughout the Epstein files, including in many of the new documents released.
Hang on, before we get to that, do want to get to this question here. Why did Trump spend the past year blocking the Epstein files? It could be any number of reasons. One of them is what we've been talking about here all night, is that people who just had unsubstantiated allegations against them get published now. They may have done nothing wrong. They were just named, or there was an allegation made against them that went nowhere. But now they have a stigma, like Bill Clinton, like Bill Gates, like Donald Trump. And now this may expose the federal government to civil liability for letting that go out. And as Glenn Sharp says, folks, hey, just relax. We've got 3 more years of this to come. So enjoy the ride. And
3 if you're lucky.
Galloway, might be more than that.
Yeah, 3 if you're lucky, boys. 2028, right around the corner. Trump 2028.
All right. Back to this clip with Mike Johnson.
This week. Now, we want to stress appearing in the Epstein files does not amount to or imply criminal wrongdoing. But do you have any outstanding questions, given that, about the relationship between President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein?
I do not. I mean, I've spoken to the president about this privately and personally many times, and he's spoken very candidly and openly to the public. He says the same things privately that he does publicly. He's never had any concern about that. Remember, President Trump was one of the first people that called Epstein out. He kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, off the property, because he heard of some of the nefarious things he was engaged in. He's never had any concern about that at all.
He did at one point call these files a Democratic hoax. But let me ask you about something.
Well, what he said specifically was the hoax of the Democrats trying to turn this into a political issue and use it against him.
Yeah. So Trump remains undefeated against all these plots and planning and schemes against him. So he is he's very good at getting truth out to begin with and being able to say, I told you so later on. Chalk this one up, in my opinion, in that column, because these files have been out for a little less than a week now, and no one has come up with anything that will stick to this president.
Yeah. And why did he not want to release them? You already addressed that, right? Like, of course we don't want to release these files with that. Just on that topic, Elon Musk, I think on a night where he might have not have slept properly, tweeted a few months ago that Trump doesn't want to release the files because he's in the files, right? And then boomerang, Elon's in the files too, right? Elon had emailed with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't see people going crazy really over Elon anymore because he kind of backed away from the Trump administration and he's doing his own thing with his business again. But wow, life comes at you fast, right? You threw that stone at Trump, and then, the circle of billionaires on the planet is probably kind of small, and they all talk to each other in one way or another, right? That doesn't mean that Elon's on the island committing crimes. It definitely doesn't mean that Donald Trump was doing that, but it's just sucks to be smeared, right? Guilt by association like this.
And maybe that's the lesson we need to learn from this entire situation. Because everybody out there on the internet, if you're out there on X or whatever social media of your choice is, y'all a bunch of catty, gossipy little bitches. I mean, for real. You guys will take anything, any small little thing, any anthill, and make it out to be Mount Everest. Because it's all about that gotcha moment. It's all about that moment of gratification where you can claim superiority over someone else. That's what it's all about. It's not about a search for truth. Congress is not having the Oversight Committee bring in Bill and Hillary Clinton because they want transparency for the American people and accountability for the survivors. They want their political pound of flesh. That's what it's come down to now. That's what it's been perpetuated to. And I'm saying right now, as a Republican, conservative, whatever, I didn't make these rules. I'm only playing by these rules. The rules that were set up back in the first Trump term when it came to the Russia hoax. The rules that were in play against Trump when they were trying to keep him from making the ballot in 2024. This is the reaping of what Democrats have sown. And I'm here for the drama. As long as we all on this side of the aisle remain with the perspective that these sorts of allegations shouldn't happen again, let it end and die here with this sort of action. So the way the next time someone prominent, maybe you, if you're young out there and you want to make it in politics, you want to make it in the world, maybe you'll get the same treatment that everybody's getting today. Or if you recognize what's going on here and not repeat the insanity, maybe you'll save yourself a little bit of unneeded and unwarranted embarrassment.
No, Gene. No.
Good. I was hoping for this.
Yeah,
Wait.
Now, like you said, the new
Hang on.
rules are...
Please hold here, because I feel like this is coming up now.
I got something for you to read wait. Let's just be copper. What's
I'm not even mad. I'm actually happy tonight, Gene, because the rules of the game have changed now, right? I want the Hunter Biden files released unredacted. I want to see all the people he was talking to. We got his laptop, but that was a snapshot in time. I want to see what else the DOJ has on Hunter Biden, who he talked to, who he traded money with, and everything else. I want all the people that were pardoned, if we can't prosecute them, right, by Joe Biden, all the people that Joe Biden's auto pen pardoned. I want to see any investigatory notes on any of those people released, right? Let the public now decide, the court of public opinion. And you had mentioned the Trump first term. I want to mention the Trump first term too. Epstein was actually charged for crimes. When was that? Oh, that was during Donald Trump's first term in office, right? You remember when he died in jail? That was during Trump's first term in office. He was pending criminal charges back then, right? And then we had 4 years of supposedly Joe Biden as our president and the Democrats controlling the House and the Senate for a good chunk of that. And they never released these files. Why? They never even thought to release these files. Why? Thomas Massie never wanted to release those files, Republicans supposedly, during those 4 years. Why? Right? Now Trump is president. again. They wanted to release the files. They got the fucking files, and there's nothing in there, right? New rules, Gene. Now I want the files released on every criminal investigation that can implicate a Democrat, whether they're guilty or not.
Well, listen, we got my take, your take out there. Let's get some troll takes out there. Chad 000-12459, clearly a much sought after screen name. You have the biggest PDF in history with blackmail over our highest political and business leaders. Yes, I think that might have been what people thought, but I think that's not true. Why do you support Jeffrey Epstein's best friend? I don't know if you're referring to Trump or Clinton or Bill Gates or whoever, but I don't think that's got anything to do with what we talked about here. We talked about the act. We tried to talk objectively here about what it means to be in these files, and basically it don't mean shit. That's what we're saying right now.
And I will say this again, for those of you that tuned in late. If in fact Jeffrey Epstein was blackmailing or extorting anyone, who is the victim in that scenario? The very people that you are saying are the criminals, right? If you go to a party and you cheat on your wife while you're with Jeffrey Epstein and he blackmails you with that information, you are actually the victim in that scenario. So I don't know why the names of the prostitutes were redacted. They were the ones committing the crimes, most potentially, right? Not the people that you think.
Here's one coming at you, pal. You care about pardons? Trump spent the past year pardoning people who donated to him.
Oh, Gene, long bong, you ain't seen nothing yet, brother. When Trump gets close to getting out of office, he's pardoning everybody. Me and Gene might get a pardon. He's going to pardon so many fucking people on the way out the door this time.
Just
you guys set the rules. The Democrats break precedent and do absurd things, right? Joe Biden did retroactive pardons for like Anthony Fauci for the last decade and his son all the way back to like 2014. You set new rules. We're doing that for everybody on the way out the door this time, motherfucker.
Let's keep going here. I'm just going down the line. James Irwin, so let's get Trump's financials out there as well. Let's see how much of your money he's stolen. This is just the generic politician badge, steals money from American people. Both sides say it. You want to say everyone does it. As far as I remember, I believe that Trump is the only president to have lost money in his first term by taking office in a very long time.
Yes, Gene. And Trump's income tax returns were illegally leaked to the public. We saw his financials. Trump was charged with 34 bogus felonies in New York State, and we've seen his financials, right? Now, let's do the Clintons. Can we do the Clinton Foundation now? Can we do Joe Biden, who has millions of dollars and mansions all over the fucking place?
Let's do Biden. Let's talk about Hunter Biden's paintings.
Yes, let's do it. Please. I want to see their tax returns. Can we do Ilhan Omar next and her fake winery? Let's do them all.
The $50 million winery, whatever it is? Absolutely. So you support fraud and PDFs. Keep going. No, okay, Long Bong is hitting it too hard.
He's hitting it way too hard.
We're not saying that at all here. No one supports fraud. No one supports PDF files. None of that. What we do support is the rule of law. And we also support giving as good as we're getting when it comes to this cold political war going on here. If Democrats are okay with saying, well, it's been said that so-and-so can't do this or did that or whatever, then it's good enough for everybody else. When it came to Donald Trump, the punishment was the process. That's what it was here. It wasn't about going after him because the hypocrisy was just through the roof. The punishment is the process. So now it's time for some others to feel that punishment here. And rightfully so, because if you live in a glass house, you're going to have a rocket-propelled grenade come through it now.
And Don Lemon was a good appetizer, right? But we got to keep going.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Got to keep going.
That's a whole other show. That's a whole other show that we can do if you want to talk about Don Lemon and why I think he's in deep doo-doo.
That's
because,
it. A gay citrus appetizer. Yes.
And all I'm going to say to this, just to whet your appetite for when we talk about this, when this does come up again, is that federal conspiracy is the easiest thing to prove, guys. Why do you think it's always in every single charge that the federal government does when they charge anyone with any sort of crime? Don Lemon might be in trouble on that. Long Bong is back. You just said you like that he pardoned people who committed fraud in a pay-for-pardon scheme. You can't call Democrats the problem and support a guy who does the same thing. Would you like to take this one, or should I?
I mean, what exactly is he talking about paid for pardons, right? Joe Biden, while Donald Trump was being inaugurated, supposedly signed hundreds of pardons on the way out the door, clearly with the auto pen, right? So who knows who really pardoned these people? We don't argue the constitutionality of the president having plenary power over the pardon, right? He can do whatever he wants. But if on the way out the door, Joe Biden pardoned all of his cronies because he knew that retribution might have been coming, then we will absolutely do the same thing going forward. If I was Donald Trump, I would pardon the entire executive branch on the way out the door, including all members of ICE, because these dirtbag Democrats are going to go after them after Trump leaves office.
Chad comes back. By definition, you do support PDF files if you don't want Epstein co-conspirators to be investigated, including Clinton, Gates, Barack, and Trump, among hundreds of others. What investigation are you talking about? A congressional investigation where nothing comes out of it? Let's start with the definition of co-conspirator. A co-conspirator is someone who makes an agreement to do something illegal, plus takes at least one overt action towards that illegal scheme or plan. Have you seen anything confirming that Epstein was conspiring with, let's say, Bill Clinton in the trafficking that he was doing? Have you seen anything that Barack Obama has been doing in that? I don't like Bill Clinton. I don't like Barack Obama. I think their politics suck in a lot of ways. But I'm not going to go on record and say that they're conspiring in a child sex trafficking operation. I'm certainly not going to say that about Bill Gates and Donald Trump because there's no evidence of a conspiracy. Now, if you want to say guilt by association, if that's how you want to roll, then roll that way. That's fine by me. But you can't leave out the possibility that they were all set up by this piece of shit. You can't rule it out based on what's out there right now. Yeah, so you can have fun with your innuendo and rumor and suppositions and fantasy booking and all this. But that's just not the truth.
And you're literally getting 7 million pages of an investigation. Right? I don't know what you think this is. Right? This isn't like 7 million pages that were found sitting in Jeffrey Epstein's living room. These are notes from investigators, notes from attorneys, court filings. Right? This is literally the entire investigation. Right? And this is what they turned up. Jeffrey Epstein was in fact charged twice. Ghislaine Maxwell was in fact charged, currently in jail. Right? There was an investigation. Right now, it's just internet weirdos looking at things out of context, hearsay evidence, and names are redacted, and we don't know who's accusing who of what.
And here is where y'all are going off the rails right here. Jose, Life on Mars. It's not the screen name. It's what you're saying. You wouldn't think it's true if there was a video of Don Von Schitzenpants essaying your 14-year-old daughter. Well, if there was a video of that happening with anyone's 14-year-old daughter, go to jail, go directly to jail, go to hell, go directly to hell. Stay in jail, throw away the key, castrate him, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't be applauding it, and the only one who's a sick fuck here is the one putting that straw man out there towards us. If there was a video of that out there, like that would be a smoking gun, wouldn't it? And then we'd all be saying it together because reasonable people would not tolerate that sort of behavior from anyone, regardless of your political cult of personality.
Yes.
So stop with the aspersions and stop with the what ifs. Stop the bullshit, really.
And these allegations, a lot of them are 20 plus years old, right? So if in fact there was a 14-year-old girl on a tape from 20 years ago, That would make her in her mid-30s, late 30s at this point, right? So where is she, right? Where are they? Speak up, right? We're not protecting children. All of these child victims are now adults. Speak up. Come on television. I'm sure if they exist, CNN would put them on prime time, right? Let's see them. Give these people that are accused a chance to confront their accuser in a court of law. That's all I'm asking for.
Absolutely. There's a lot of discussion in the chat about commutations versus pardons and all this going on with different examples. Here's my new favorite comment. Leave that out there. Pretty good. Hey, pretty good.
Why did Purdy
coming back for more from last week? Look at you. You got nothing better to do with your life. That's sad for you, but that's okay. You're always welcome here to try. You're always welcome to come up here.
Why
and
is Purdy back here?
We're glad you're here. We like attention. We even negative attention from you. You know. In all caps too. Titty Diddy. I bet the guy with the Reagan flag. Well, it's not a flag, it's a poster. See? Look. It's a poster. And you got to specify which one, by the way. Was definitely on the Epstein list. Nope. Definitely not. I did a self-search. Didn't come up. You're happy to look, though. He looks like his last name is probably Epstein. Actually, I'm Italian. The last name is on the screen right there. I don't know what's stopping you from reading it. But, hey, glad you're here. Subscribe if you want to. If not, it's no great loss either.
Well, in all fairness, though, Gene, when your family came through Epstein Island, they dropped the wits off Berardelowitz to be more American.
Berardelowitz. Wow. I'm offended for people. By the way, Purdy, can you do me a favor? I'm seeing a lot of Ross and Gene. Can we switch it around? I see Ross and Gene. It's Gene and in my head. It's Gene and Ross. I mean, are you okay? You'd rather be more. I thought I was more on number one tonight.
We've established you are more on number one, so that's it. It's me.
Right. So tonight it should be me. That's number one. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know this. Look at the last one there from Titty Diddy.
Yeah. For those of us on cell phones, the chat blocks your face and names. Well, pull down the chat. You don't need to see the chat all the time. You can take a look. I mean, that sounds like a YouTube problem and more of a you problem, but hey, is what it is. You ready to do final thoughts here, Paolo? You want to keep on?
No, I'm all Epsteined out. I think this is we beat this to death.
All right. Well, listen. There's a rumor going around that you are banned from roller rinks and Chuck E. Cheese's. Are there even roller rinks anymore?
Or Chuck E. Cheese's? Do those exist?
There's one Chuck E. Cheese I know on Long Island, but that's about it. But wow, Purdy, you're old. All right, final thought time. This is the part of the show where neither Ross or I have mentioned what we were going to be talking about with our own time here. So, pal, I'm going to let you go first. Floor
all right, so I have a bad feeling that what I'm about to say is actually going to affect a lot of the morons in our chat here. But this is a public service announcement, really, for all of them. If you own Bitcoin, you need to sell it now. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not a financial advice. I'm just telling you not to be fucking dumb. All right, Bitcoin will go to zero. It will, right? There's no doubt about that. Anyone telling you otherwise is lying to you. Over the last 1 month, Bitcoin has lost over 21% of its value. Over the last 6 months, it's lost over 36% of its value. And over the last year, it's down 26%. Right? So anyone telling you that, well, you just got to look at it over the long term is lying to you. Okay, over the long term is a year in investing. If I told you to invest in my company and I tell you the outlook was over the last 6 months, we lost 36%, but over the last year, we only lost 26%, you would not invest in my company, right? That's a stupid thing to do. If you go back 5 years, those people made a lot of money because it was like $1 to buy a Bitcoin, 7 or 8 years ago. Okay. We're in Bernie Madoff territory right now. It's collapsing. If you follow Bitcoin every day, it's been going down percentage points per day. This is possibly the biggest non-government Ponzi scheme, although I do suspect the government is more involved in Bitcoin than we're led to believe. I personally believe the CIA might have created Bitcoin and keeping it afloat. It's fake. For those of you guys involved with Bitcoin, the Bitcoin bros out there, who created it? right? It's an Asian guy's pseudonym name, and you believe that, and that's what you're investing your hard-earned money in. Please wake up. There's a saying out there. I don't know how involved you are with Bitcoin, Gene, but there's an acronym they use, HODL, HODL, which stands for hold on for dear life. And they try to convince others to buy in and don't ever sell it and just hold it on. Right? Like, I don't have to convince other people to buy into the S&P 500, but Bitcoin dudes need to convince you. That sounds a lot like a cult, right? Bitcoin value gone up over the last few years because it is artificially scarce. People buy it and hold it. It was sold to us as the future currency, right? We'll be able to buy and sell things anonymously, and the government won't be able to track it. Well, now they want the government involved, and they want Trump to buy Bitcoin reserves for the government, and they want Congress to regulate it, right? No one buys anything with Bitcoin unless you're a fucking moron, because everyone is speculating that it's going to go up in value. It's not a currency. It never will be. And when this thing starts dropping, which it has, I already mentioned those percents that it's dropped, it's going to go to zero real fast. And it might be happening as we speak. Get off this ship before you sink with it. Do not be the fucking violin player playing on the Titanic as the Bitcoin hits the iceberg. And that's my final thought.
Well, just so you know, full disclosure for fun, back in 2013, we had someone on the show talking about Bitcoin. They created a Bitcoin wallet for me with $2 in it. It's now up to about $550. So take that for what it's worth. But I agree with you. It is basically money thrown at a wing and a prayer collectively. So I can understand that. My final thought has to do with what we saw over the weekend at the Grammys. You guys have heard already about what Billie Eilish said when she went on stage to accept her Grammy, and talking about how no one is illegal because we're all on stolen land. Well, isn't it funny that this came up about Billie Eilish herself after that whole virtue signaling speech that every moron and buffoon cheered about? This, to me, is the sweet, sweet irony of politics and why I love political buffoonery.
As America's just made up all this land that was taken unjustly from people, but is the singer also living on stolen land is the question. Well, according to a local tribe out in California, she built her mansion on property that belongs to Native Americans. We talked to the Tongva tribe out in Southern Cal who says she's living on their property, saying this in part as the first people of the greater Los Angeles basin. We do understand that her home is situated on our ancestral land. Eilish hasn't contacted her tribe directly regarding her property. So back in 2020, comedian Ricky Gervais was ahead of this. He said, please do not get up here and use the stage as a platform for politics, saying in part, you're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. Now mocking Grammy winners because he said they're doing it again, saying they're still not listening.
By the way, for those of you who are wondering, the viewership for the Grammys went down again. 14.4 million viewers on CBS, marking a 6 to a 6.5 percentage point decline from 2025. The second year in a row it's declined according to Nielsen. And this was the final year it's being aired on CBS. Good riddance to it. And hey, Billy, as your song says, you are the bad guy in this scenario. And no, Galloway, I didn't watch the Grammys. I watched the clips on X. I'm assuming you put that into the chat. Oh, look, there it is, actually. I knew he was going to do it. See, this, when you've been friends with someone for close to 20, God, we're on the better side of 15 years now. Yeah, you end up finishing each other's sentences, apparently.
No, it's more than that, isn't it? We met in like 2005-ish.
No, it was 2000. God, now you're going to ruin our anniversary. No, it was I ran for office in 2009. That's when I joined the committee, and then we started talking in 2010.
Ah.
So, you see, you don't even remember.
So I ran for office before you.
Yes, you did.
Ah,
you lost before I lost, and then we both lost together.
No, I got blown out before you got blown out.
Oh wait, this is a great comment here from Purdy. Gene on his deathbed soon is gonna think, shit, I wasted my life cucking with Ross. No, I will say I lived a very good life. That's what I will say.
And what will Purdy say? Purdy watched us on Wednesday nights like a fucking loser.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks for the 12 cents, Purdy. That view just got our YouTube payment up 12 more cents. Thank you.
Thanks so much for absolutely. You are the lifeblood of this show. Keep on coming.
Click
to
the
us.
ads, bro. Click the ads.
Listen, keep coming back. Keep coming back.
Don't come back. I hate you.
Well, no, we'll see you next week because you can't help you. You can't help yourself that we're gonna get the last word over you. Because folks, it's time to shut this motherfucker down. You ready to get out of here or what?
Gene, let's get the fuck out of here. I can't wait till next week.
All right, guys. Gene and Ross behind enemy lines. We're getting out. God bless. Have a good night, and let's sing along with our motherfucking anthem.
Not allowed. Not without electoral.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Teeth don't let them have sway. Conservative battalions walking them out, marching through the streets while the buffoons all shout. Move in the shadows, flag on my chest, repping my clan, putting faith to the test. Cause we're playing blues behind enemy lines, fighting for the truth, feels like wartime. Don't back down, keep it rugged and raw, cool in the chaos, but loud in the war. But loud in the war. Thunder, arm in advance, march to the anthem, this is our chance. If I ever stare with a smirk in a gaze, holding down the fort in this Democrat case.